feel in the face of all the problems in the world impotent, and why
Morning, everybody. I have the recording feature working on TradingView, so I'm actually going to record the ID today. Hooray! Let's jump right into Bitcoin, shall we? Thank you for tuning in. Let's do it. Good morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello. All right, let's first identify our periods on the 3D Wave PM to allow us to actually draw out where each of our mean inversion pivots are and just how ridiculous this chart has gotten simply by the very fact that we have treaded along the edge of appearing bullish while maintaining every bearish mean reversion condition in the entire range. I'm really getting this whole now or never feeling. And okay, I guess I just have to point out the pivots too, right? So here on the 4-hour chart, our longest overextended period is roughly 350. On the 1-hour chart at a higher resolution, the exact number is 1050, right? So I have the 1050 period here, okay? Then secondarily, I have the longest overextended period from this most recent move here, like so, okay? And this recent move, it's a whole nother scenario. Actually, I take that back. It's actually a surprisingly similar scenario, and I'll point out why. And we have the 160 period, okay? So, just assuming we were looking for the mean inversion of the 1050 period, right? So watch this. I'm actually going to make this just as simple and visible as possible because I'm going to get pretty technical here, okay? And take some notes because this is probably going to be a good way to learn how to use 3D Wave PM here. Perfect. So 1050 was our mean inversion period, okay? If we entered the 1050, we would revert to the 1050 mean. Or we would trade laterally as defined by this band until it reads below the 0.7 value. Now, it looks like we are breaking out of it, yeah? Okay, but that's where the next condition comes in. In order to gain mean inversion, you can use a 1/10 of the period. So in this case, 110, entertainingly enough, where if we have a CCI roll down, where we re-enter that band, right, it implies that that will be the swing high into taking a position to the mean itself, okay? So this is the activation of the condition, and then this here, the reentry of the 110 band, is the signal to actually enter the short. And then what's even more bizarre about this chart is if you look at the 1060 period, or I'm sorry, the 160 period based on this most recent expansion, right, we can actually set up a 160 band as well. And it's kind of entertaining just how similar that value is to our CCI roll down value, right? So we have 160 now, because that's the longest overextended period. It's going to be roughly the same thing, right? And it gets pretty ridiculous because now we actually have a CCI roll down waiting for the condition of the mean inversion, which implies another mean inversion. It's ridiculous, and if this actually works out, it's going to be the textbook example I point out to in the next few years, because I have been stressing about this chart for so long, and by so long I mean since like the beginning of April. Holy hell, we've had this horrible range for an entire month. Anyway, what we're looking at now is we have re-entered the 160 band, which you could either assume the condition was here or here. They're both valid, right? Because they're still the same 16-period CCI roll down that happened in each. And that's the last time I called short on Bitcoin was at this location, right? Because just as we had the 1/10 period CCI roll down for entering into this long mean reversion, we actually have the secondary smaller mean reversion here for the 1/10 period. And we have another smaller CCI roll like so. And so we just have these bearish conditions that have all activated and none of them have completed yet it's maintaining the guise of bullishness because we have the upward slope of probability volatility here. It looks like, right, upward trend, right? That's one of the conditions of mean reversion. It doesn't necessarily need to go to the mean. It just needs to trade laterally as defined by the compressing band. And what's so ridiculous is that we are just, as soon as we activated the condition, it was such a well-respected pivot. We immediately had a huge sell-off, and then now we've trickled back up, and we're right on top of the pivot itself, right, which is the CCI roll down for entering into the mean reversion. And then we have the secondary smaller CCI roll down to enter the shorter period mean reversion, which was the mean reversion for the signal of the original mean reversion. It's just it's such a mouthful. I'm going to load up the weekly 50 on this chart as well, just because I want to know how far over where the benchmark is. To my understanding, we had a weekly close above the weekly 50. So that's problematic. That does imply bullishness, like a candle close above the value. Like wicks were expected. And I am inclined to go back and check historically how we've interacted with this value in the past. Why not? I've never used the go-to tool before, but we're going to try. If I just put this as a 5, I wonder what's going to happen. Wow. Okay. History doesn't go back that far. Does it? It only goes back to 2018. I'm on Coinbase. God damn it. Okay, we're going to go to the Bitfinex ticker. BTC, USD. I don't really remember which ticker's been around for the longest. It's not something I remember. I am confused. I could have sworn. Oh, it's okay. It's because they don't store 1 hour data 4 years into the past. Well, that's disappointing. I guess we could take a look at it on the 4 hour chart because I'm pretty sure they preserve all that data. Okay, well, let's just go back and take a look. Okay. A little bit farther. Come on. The 3-wave PM is loading up for every single one of these candles, and that's why there's the lag. So we're just trying to drag ourselves back. Oh, I could have used the go-to tool. Oh my god. That's pretty insane. We didn't even go above it at all in the previous instance. We tested it and then immediately rejected twice. So if this mean inversion conditions fails, I'm going to need to draw an entire new game plan from scratch. Seriously. Is this... Yeah. Now we're actually getting sustained movement above the weekly 50, and that's one of my buy conditions in theory. So it is important to note okay, but just talking about the longest overextended period, we had a really low risk short entry here, and now I'm assuming we have another really low risk short entry here. I'll show you why, just on the 16 period CCI. Right. Right, every time that 16 period CCI rolls down, that's a short entry. So we had a short entry here, and we had a short entry coming up here. So I'm still short because the conditions are still active, and if we have any kind of significant breakout above these values, that in theory should invalidate the short conditions, especially now that we're above the weekly MA. You know, as long as the condition's active, I am obliged to keep a bearish bias. But when the conditions break, I really do not want to. Like, we have this huge bearish block here. And I'm doing everything in my willpower not to cry manipulation because of Bitfinex artificially raising their price in order to cover their missing funds, right? That's not the kind of trader I am. I can only look at the chart and identify what I believe is probable based on the conditions and signals that are given to me. So, with that in mind, I'm going to try another short right here. I still have my short open from this location. And at the bare minimum, we should retest this mean, which would be nice. A lower low would imply a breaking of the range. Hell, if we do get below that weekly 50 moving average, it's no man's land in the fact that we will see sustained downward trend to 3,500. One can hope. I am not necessarily crossing my fingers. I don't want to rely too much on luck. I do have my risk management in place, so we just got to be patient, right? That's all I have to say about Bitcoin. It's been a pleasure trading with you folks. I'll talk to you later. Very nice. Let's go through the comments. See what you people want. FUSD. FUSD is an active downtrend. Probably a lot safer to short than Bitcoin at the moment, really. Oh, it jumped 7. I haven't checked it all day. Hold on. No, that's a huge breakout. Hold on. No, this is new. Okay, well, we need to go to a higher time frame because previous conditions, I don't know if they're still active. I have to define everything. Okay, we are looking, and I also have to check the BTC pair to see how it's doing because that's fishy. 260. Okay, this should turn out fine. Yeah, 260 custom link. Let's just do 50 for now. Okay. Oh, price will trade laterally as defined in the longest over extended period, as long as it's below 0.7, as long as it's above a 0.7 value. We are above a 0.7 value. So in theory, yes, this could trend outside the band. The mean inversion has completed. Okay, look at this, guys. So even on this pair, where we had the activation of the condition at this location, we didn't actually end up reverting the mean until here. So we activated the condition over here. Price continued to seem to trend upward while still maintaining the bearish condition. And then the condition fulfilled itself, right? It's really hard for conditions not to fulfill themselves as far as these mean inversions go. They just, they make you doubt your sanity, right? Because the slope of probability volatility remains aggressively up, and price can trend right alongside it without invalidating the condition, and then it'll just do it all at once. You know, that's probably a pretty good forecast for Bitcoin as well, right? Where we're just appearing not to playing it out, and then it just it works itself out. Okay, I'll let you guys take a look at the comments here as well. Sakura, I will not buy you a PlayStation, although I will admit it has taken a bit of willpower not to buy a Switch and get into the competitive Smash scene. I just for the sake of nostalgia, but I don't have the time to do it, and I don't want to do that, so too bad. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. All right, FBTC. You could actually use quad CCI for this one, although I'll be honest, we are above the top edge of the 50. All right, so. Yeah, we do have significant CCI waiting on this side. And then the CCI roll down should, in theory, provide trend continuation. All right, if you have an active downtrend, you just look for the CCI rolls. And they do fare pretty well, assuming you don't have significant mass at the time. Right, so if you have active downtrends and you have significant weighting of CCI periods, as long as you aren't above the top edge of the 50 band or you have a 50 period CCI above the 100 value, then in theory, the CCI rolls should provide trend continuation, right? But because we are above the top edge of the 50 here, it's kind of a no-go zone. I would stay away from it. Alts are pretty green today, I will admit. Link got a significant mean reversion as well. Let's define the period, yeah? Oh, that's super muddy. Let's try the 6 hour. $300 period. Yeah, that's clean. Let's take a look. We could actually take a long here. You probably want to wait for the swing low, also known as the CCI roll, but we do have a mean reversion condition here. Hold on. Yeah, let's actually set up alert for this. Okay. And change the 50 to 30 here. I might call a long on this coin. We'll take a look at it. Hmm. 30. Going for dad's CCI. We're going to use the second plot value. And then we're going to assume okay, crossing up negative 100 or negative 100. That might not trigger for a while, but it's the safest way to enter the trade. You know, I don't really want to buy on an initial 10% spike to the upside. But when we actually, yeah, okay. So we're tagging the 3.2 standard deviation. That's the first red flag. The condition is active. In theory, we might have a lateral move here if there isn't an overwhelming amount of FOMO. And there was that bullish cross, but I wouldn't have considered it because of the longest, or rather because of the volatility overhead on the 200 period there. Let's take a look at a PPT BTC. Okay. Yeah, when you have an active downtrend of this strength, yeah, you can define mean inversion pivots, but even on the 6-hour chart, you'll notice it's completely maxed out beyond comprehension. So we would even like need to look at the daily chart to define the longest overexpanded period, which in theory we can do. This is pretty cool. Watch this. All right, so that's actually really funny. So this actually would have faked you out. Actually, well, let's define which one of these would have won and which one of these would have lost. Okay. Here we have... Okay, so this is a negatively weighted CCI with a downward cross with all these negative values. So it would have been a signal on this candle. I wanted a vertical line. This candle, that would have been a short signal. So at the lowest low, that would have been gone down 10%. Next up would have been this one, and this one would have been positive. And let's see how this would have done. At its highest high on the 3.2, 21, assuming, yeah, I'm going to assume you took profit at like 15. These are fine signals here, but this one, it's kind of funny because we had the upward weighted CCI, except just how rapidly the expansion switched from upward expansion to downward expansion. So you would have certainly stopped out of this trade. So that went up like 5%, but then it stopped out, and then the expansion started accelerating in the other direction. Why? It's because if you have a significant range of compression, it doesn't take all that much force to change the direction of the expansion. Although, to be honest, with these kind of daily wave PM crosses, they're longer term positions. And just with how volatile this range has been, I honestly would not have made any money on it, right? With just these wicks and these wicks, you might have been able to scalp it, but like, what the hell are you trying to do scalping on the daily chart, right? No, I probably would have lost money on this chart if I'm being honest. And there's nowhere to short PPT, so even when we had the active downtrend and you went to like the 4-hour chart and looked at quad CCI, like you got one quad CCI entry right here, and you didn't even have a significant slope of probability volatility. So the only trend re-entry would have been at this location with the 14-period roll down. And then actually, that would have performed really well. Right, because even though you have significant volatility overhead, I wonder if we had any implied mean inversions here. Actually, we did. That's really funny. Guys, look at this. Somebody says Bitcoin's going down. I would like to check on that in a second. Right. Oh, hold on. Okay, defending 5654. Okay, I don't care. That's kind of a small move. I want to finish my analysis on this because it's a pretty interesting chart. And I don't know why this alarm's set. Shoot. Like that, I mean, it'll never trigger. Because there's static values. Okay. Right, so we actually had, even though we had this continuous expansion of volatility overhead, we had the smaller periods of compression. You know what that's actually known as? Bear flags. And then whenever you have smaller generations of mass, like here and here, it implies that flags form, right? So because our longest period here was 50, I can be relatively confident when we re-entered the 50 band, we had a bear flag that resulted in a move to the 50 moving average right there, followed by the CCI roll down for trend continuation. Like, I miss trending markets. Like, mean reversions are really comfortable to trade. Actually, you know, I lied. We do have a trending market. Like, look at Litecoin. Right, we had significant overexpansion in the beginning of downtrend. Actually, the daily is the best way to look at this. If we actually get like continuous downward expansion, that'll work out really well for me. It's pretty risky though, right? We do have an active mean reversion condition, but just to put this in perspective for the active mean reversion condition, I want to show you guys what the mean reversion target is. Okay, it's pretty insane. Right. So we have the 220 period as the longest overexpanded on the daily. So plug that value in, 220. And over here, well, we want to do a 1/10 of that period, so 22. Okay? Watch this. So the condition activated at this location, right? It implies reversion to this mean here. But just like what we saw with Bitcoin, the activation of condition does not inherently mean reversion to the mean itself immediately. The CCI roll down would actually mean price would do something like this. It would go up, and then you see the top edge of this here. It's actually when we cross down inside the 22 period at this location that we would see or our entry into the long-term mean reversion. And the reason I called it immediately is because of the strength of the downtrend in other coins right now. Like we called, or rather I called a short position on TRX around 6:30 at this location. And I'll show you guys why. My future, I'm actually pretty irked about this chart because I entered my short here and I exited here because my futures contract expired after 13%. If my contract did not expire, I'd be at double that. It happens. Anyway, let me point out what I mean. So here, our longest overexpanded period is 140, right? And we'll change this band to 14. Okay. So when we re-entered the band at this location, it implied we would go to this mean. But we technically would not have gotten entry via CCI roll until this location. And so that's why I recommend entering a portion of the position when the condition fires, and then enter the remainder of the position when the CCI roll occurs. Right? Because in this scenario, the CCI roll just never happened. It just blew straight to the mean. And since we have, or rather since I've had such a bearish expectation on Bitcoin, it would make sense that altcoins would also see an equally explosive downside. Okay, you guys say Bitcoin's dropping, so I'm going to take a look at that. And believe it or not, I don't have any water. Let me get some water. Whew. I'm going to be gone for like 15 seconds. Don't spam the chat while I'm gone, okay? What was I doing? Oh, let me just have you guys look at the Bitcoin chart on like the 1 minute so you guys can go ooh and ah. There you go. Have fun. Okay, let's do the comments again, shall we? Sean Trotter, please explain why the sense of the plume of mass not present means up. You're gonna have to tell me what time frame, so I can take a look at that. Also, where's Diesel? Diesel in here somewhere? Somebody was commenting. Oh, I could have sworn he was here. Okay. Must have imagined. Oh, great days. No. Kite Gronin, you're Curva, right? Okay. So, FUSD, good. Bitcoin roll down ongoing. Okay. Lateral training has defined the longest over expanded period. Let's talk about it, guys. Cozy Gumpington, yeah, I'm still shorting, man. I know. I don't want to short anymore, but my strategy says I have to. Like, I don't have a choice. I have to follow my strategy to the letter. I'm not allowed to change my bias. It's just my rule. Right? I would rather be wrong 3 times in a row than change my bias because I keep on losing. Why? Well, because when I'm right, I'm going to make 10 times I've lost than what I've lost than, well, when I lose. The profit ratio on this trade is 10 to 1, guys. That's kind of what I want you to understand. And to my understanding, people have gotten pretty, at least 1 or 2 people have gotten annoyed, probably because of over leveraging or oversizing their position. And, you know, my initial short call was around here, and now we're up 10% since then, right? So I'm sure even on 5x, someone could lose half their portfolio if they're not playing the game correctly, right? So don't over leverage, guys, please. Please don't do it. I consistently say never use more than 20% of your portfolio on any one position, and that's assuming you're not leveraging on that position. Like, for the love of God, guys, please use proper risk management. There's been a few people who have been salty recently due to no more than a couple of wrong predictions. And they happen, guys. Like, if you look at my spreadsheet, I have less than a 50% win rate. You guys need to understand this. Okay? Now, I'm actually going to go over this, right? And I will update this trade history. I do so about like once or twice, or once every 1 or 2 months, right? And if you actually add up every trade call here, the amount of winning trades versus the number of losing trades is about 45 to 55 in the losing trades' favor, right? I lose more than half my trades. You guys need to understand this. Right, but here's the thing. And I probably need to update AMB as well. Yeah, it's been a month. I should update this probably later today, I think. But right, if you see something like 2% downside on 0x, like let's open a few trades here. I'm going to open up a few in a row, okay? Okay, we had a 2% downside on 0x. Let's just hit play and watch what happens, okay? Our stop loss was 2% to the downside, and I'm assuming that's from the highest location in the range, right? I enter a buy range. I could have, in theory, said, oh, well, you entered at the bottom and you didn't stop out here, so I could have only put 0.5%. No, but I choose to do the maximum possible drawdown for a person. And then I also choose to do roughly the same for the upside. So I hit play, and it goes down 2%, right? So let's take a look at the next trade. Next trade's up 5%. It's just BRD. And I also had these cute little notes here, like this is a low liquidity pair. To trade this, you need to take advantage of high price volatility and expect wicks. A stop loss timeout is recommended to prevent getting taken out by a ridiculous move. Trailing take profit is recommended as well, okay? So if we assume from the top of the range, and we just drag up, first take profit is about 4.5%. Let's hit play. Okay? At its highest, price went up 7%. Well, let's hit play again, right? Okay, see, guys, look at this. I told to buy here, and price goes up almost 5%, so I put 5%. But price eventually hit second target, right? So why don't I just adjust the trade to say 7%? Here's the thing, guys. I know most people probably took profit on the first take profit target. I'm not going to say on the spreadsheet that, oh, well, look at this. It went up 15%, so that's going in the spreadsheet. No, I'm not going to do that. That's dishonest, right? I typically, on the spreadsheet, draw out the worst case scenario. And if you want to get technical here, I could, in theory, like, look at how high this goes. From my recommended entry, price went up 60%. But I have it listed as 5% because I know that's where most people took profit. All right, guys. I try to be as transparent as possible here. Okay, from the time where I called this to its high, right? That's insane. And the downside is only what? 3%. And even in here in the notes, I recommend using a trailing take profit. So I could, in theory, even say, well, you should have used a trailing take profit and you should have exited around 50%. I don't do that. That's not what I'm about. Okay? And then let's just do one more for the sake of sanity. So BAT. Now, I do recommend you go through this yourself, guys. All right, if you take a very small sample of my trades, like there's going to be 8 in a row losing streaks and people liquidate their account over that kind of thing if they don't use good risk management. But with my typical profit ratio, it only takes 2 wins to earn it all back. That's a good one. Actually, I really like this trade call. Lateral trading is defined by the longest overexpanded period, right? Except the slope of probability volatility. It's so good, right? So we entered the mean reversion condition at this location. And then because the move went up so much, our slope of probability volatility was actually neutral. And because we had neutral slope, it actually allowed us to take a really safe entry on the bottom edge of the band there. Well, because our stop loss value wouldn't lower. Oop, got a mosquito. The stop loss value wouldn't go any lower because the slope was neutral, right? If we had a downward slope, we would need to lower the stop loss to match that value. And that's what's really nice about this trade. Okay, ramble done. Like really, guys, there's no get rich quick strategy, and if you try to use my trades to get rich quick, you're going to hurt yourself. So please, small position sizes over a long period of time, and eventually you will be profitable, okay? Speaking of Bitcoin, right, we're trading laterally as defined by the longest overexpanded period. So let's just throw in those values, yeah? Great Days asks, what is preferable for stop loss time position postponing? I usually just do 5 minutes. Right, so if somebody sells to 0 Satoshis and you have a market sell, you don't want to ruin your account. So I use market stop losses, but I also use timeouts just to be safe. Okay. right, let's put this to 160. It's kind of nice because we're actually, hopefully, we're coming down in the lateral trading as defined in the longest overexpanded period. Don't I have an abbreviation for that? Hold on. Lateral trading. Let's just make it. Okay. Lateral trading as defined by the longest or expanded period. That's LTAD blocks. Any suggestions? I'm gonna leave that open. You guys can think about it. That's a bit aggressive, to say the least. Okie doke. Sure. God, there's a lot of comments. Okay. I'm gonna blow through these. Let's do this. It's going down, sure. Adam, do you have a taker for that? XRP BTC. Okay. I'm gonna try to do this one quick. Because, to my understanding, it's still in an active downtrend. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's still in an active downtrend. I got nothing. Guys. Well, like, we're going to see parabolic exhaustion eventually. I just... Like, to my understanding, at least, our longest overexpanded period is actually larger. Well, I don't actually have readings there. 1 second. 160. And if we type... This is already 160, guys. Okay, that's cool. So, just so you guys know how ridiculous this is... In order for me to consider XRP bullish, we would actually currently need a 26% candle before I even considered it to be like having a potential upside. And I don't try to catch falling knives, guys. Sorry. Trade the trend. Unless you cross a mean inversion pivot like Bitcoin has. Anyway, you guys got really excited over like less than a 1% move. Come on. Short everything still? Yeah, man. I am. Hi, Sean. Mr. Plunger. We got to talk about setting up some white hat SEO because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm good at one thing. Trading. Charts, man. Kind of just assume that if I'm a good enough trader, people will flock to me, so. I don't wear polo shirts. Sorry, Sean. Currently, what does the green on the mass imply? Compression. Right? There's state of expansion, there's state of compression. If something's really thin, it turns green or blue. If something turns red, it means it's wide. That's it. Technical analysts who say they don't lose will lose you and themselves money. Yeah, I've lost money in the past. Every now and then, I'm still generous with my stop losses and I screw myself, but that's on me. What time is preferable for the stop loss? Yeah, I already did that one. And for trailing take profits, percentage preferable, that's entirely relative onto how far it's currently traveled. I don't have a good answer for that. You know, with my CCI rolls, I do like 1/10 of the period, so I guess you could do like maybe a 1/5 of the current gains or a 1/10 of the current gains. That's arbitrary, by the way. XRP on the Plona next chart, I could. Yeah. Oh, and I know very little about crypto, believe it or not. I'm not good at crypto. Like, actually, like the whole wallets and mining things, yeah, I don't care about that. I care about the volatility on the charts. That was like the goofiest plume of mass I've ever seen. Where we had like the super compression of all the long periods while the short periods like exploded. Yeah, I got no opinion on that. It's bizarre. Although I'm pretty happy. Just like, look how clean this trend is and look how clean this mass is. When it does turn bullish, we're gonna have a really nice and easy long position on XRP. I'll admit that. Okay. Oh, what else we got? Cozy Comfington says something I totally agree with. Bitcoin slithering around the weekly 200 MA all summer, you reckon? I do reckon that. Yeah. Although, typically, the creek and Wyckoff accumulation is a really slow trickle of low volume. So I don't expect any explosive selling that'll get us down there quick. It's going to be more of a slow bleed, in my opinion. If you guys don't want to short Bitcoin until it goes below the weekly 50 again, that's fine too. If you guys don't feel like babysitting the chart all the time, you can just do that instead. TRX BTC is still in downtrend. I'm short from 477. Yeah, man, still in a downtrend. Totally, dude. I was short from 630. Ugh, the pain. Bat BTC. Yeah, let's do it. How many on viewers? Yeah, let's check. Yeah, we bled down a bit. We were at over 30 at one point, so I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna do bat and I'll be done. Oh, I remember this bad boy. Oh, okay. We'll set up a few alerts here. I will call along on this. I just want the right signal. Okay. So we can just quad CCI this bad boy. Let me make sure I have the right CCI setting, because I know I've adulterated this chart a bunch today. Okay, 14. It's good. Okay, bad. No, we want dad CCI. We want plot crossing up the negative 100 value. Also, to say that my Discord is not the most welcoming and we're very critical, it's a totally valid criticism. I agree with you. Yeah. Generally, we're super accepting of other ideas as long as you can get through the gauntlet. And by gauntlet, I mean a singular question. Why does your TA work without resorting to, it's a proven standard, everyone else uses it, it's nature's law, or it's made me money so far? If you can explain why your TA works, other than that, you'll be accepted with open arms and we'll have a great time talking. If you don't know why your TA works, then yeah, hostility has been bred towards that, because that's an appeal to authority fallacy. And I hope that everything on my trading strategy is at least somewhat logical. It makes sense. I think the only arbitrary thing that in my strategy has been the 1/10 period CCR roll down. That was more of a risk management thing from my standpoint, but everything else is super objective. Sean Trotter says, like the video. I agree with him. It's a good idea. Okay. So we need... Bat long. Nice. Okay, I got super rambly today, but I had fun. Almost an hour. It's been a good day. I'll see y'all folks later. Have a good one. My hotkeys don't work. I'm so sorry. Outro. Wait. Intro. That's the one that fades to black. That's my bad. There we go. Goodbye. See you, folks.